The Galactic Council chamber had witnessed the rise and fall of empires older than most stars still burning in the spiral arms. Its walls were carved from gravitic crystal mined from collapsed neutron stars, its vast dome floating in equilibrium between forces no single species truly understood anymore. And yet, on this day, the chamber felt small. Hundreds of delegates filled their assigned tiers avian states with feathers of polished chrome, insectoid collectives humming softly through translator fields, ancient silicon-based intelligences radiating slow electromagnetic pulses. They had gathered in emergency session, a rare occurrence that demanded unanimity among at least 6 founding species. The cause of this assembly hung in the center of the chamber as a holographic projection. A ship. No ships. Massive silhouettes rotated slowly in the void, their outlines jagged and asymmetrical, as if geometry itself had given up trying to define them. Their hulls drank in light rather than reflecting it, bending sensors and optics alike. Where engines should have burned with plasma or fusion fire, there was only darkness and absence so complete that it distorted the stars behind it. A low murmur spread across the chamber. Councillor Threxel of the VA Corps Hive clicked his mandibles in agitation. "That is not possible," he declared. "Dark matter cannot be stabilized in open space, let alone weaponized. It is a theoretical impossibility." Across the chamber, Elder Archivist Seleuan, whose species had recorded galactic history for over 10 million standard cycles, spoke slowly. "It was theoretical," Seleuan corrected, "until the humans arrived." The name rippled through the chamber like a pressure wave. Humans. The youngest spacefaring species ever granted provisional council status, barely 3 centuries removed from their first orbital satellites, a species from a so-called death world, one plagued by unstable tectonics, predatory megafauna, violent weather systems, and a history of constant internal conflict. A species the galaxy had dismissed as clever but fragile. Until now. The alarm had first sounded in the outer Perseus Spur, near a border region claimed jointly by 3 minor trade coalitions. Long-range gravimetric sensors detected a phenomenon never before recorded, a localized collapse of vacuum energy without stellar mass. At first, analysts assumed an error. Then the stars began to bend. Not from gravity as understood, but from something deeper. Dark matter density spiked, coalescing into structured formations that moved against inertial expectation. Entire sensor arrays failed, quantum entanglement relays desynchronized. And then the ships appeared. They did not jump in via warp, slip space, or fold. They emerged, as if the universe itself had been persuaded to step aside. 6 vessels at first, then 12, then dozens. They formed a silent line across the void, perfectly aligned, their presence pressing on spacetime like a held breath. Moments later, a transmission reached every listening post in the sector, encoded in standard galactic protocol, but unmistakably human in tone. "This is Admiral Mara Ionescu of the United Terran Defense Fleet. You are observing a live demonstration of humanity's dark matter strategic deterrence initiative. Do not approach. Do not target. Observe." And then they fired. There was no flash. No beam. No explosion. One moment, a derelict asteroid selected by the observing coalition as a neutral test object drifted peacefully in space. The next, it simply ceased. Not shattered, not vaporized. Gone. In its place remained a region of distorted reality, where mass, time, and causality disagreed violently. Sensors reported negative mass readings. Light entering the region failed to exit in predictable ways. Astrophysicists would later argue whether the asteroid had been compressed into a singularity, displaced into another dimension, or rewritten at a fundamental level. Humanity never clarified. The ships powered down. The transmission ended. And the galaxy panicked. Now, in the council chamber, fear crept into voices that had not known it for millennia. "They did not declare war," hissed Councillor Jektar of the Kale Dominion. "They did not threaten us. That is what terrifies me." "They warned us," said Seleuan quietly, "and humans do not warn unless they believe restraint is still possible." Council records were accessed, projecting humanity's short but turbulent history across the chamber. World wars, nuclear brinkmanship, mutually assured destruction, cold wars that span generations. A species that had survived itself by learning when not to strike. And now, Seleuan continued, they have applied that philosophy to the galaxy. A junior delegate whispered what many were thinking. Why dark matter? The answer came not from the council, but from a new incoming transmission. The chamber lights dimmed as a human figure appeared in the center projection. Admiral Ionescu stood tall in a dark uniform trimmed with silver. Her expression was calm, tired, resolute. We did not choose dark matter because it was easy, she began. We chose it because it was inevitable. Your civilizations mastered fusion, antimatter, stellar harvesting, the admiral said. You built weapons that burn worlds and crack moons. You told yourselves those were the limits of power. She gestured, and the projection shifted to show human scientists working in underground facilities, equations layered over images of galactic rotation curves. Humans noticed something you ignored, she continued. The universe is held together by something you never truly tried to understand because it didn't fit your weapons doctrine. Dark matter. The invisible scaffolding of galaxies. We asked a simple question, Ionescu said. If dark matter governs structure, why shouldn't it govern force? The council watched in stunned silence as footage played of early experiments, human probes collapsing under failed containment, stations lost to miscalculations, entire research teams erased from existence. You call us reckless, the admiral acknowledged. You are correct. A faint smile touched her lips. But we are also persistent. The projection zoomed in on one of the massive vessels. These are Abyss-class warships, Ionescu said. Each one contains a stabilized dark matter core held in equilibrium by quantum anchor fields. Their hulls are not armor in the traditional sense, they are absence gradients. A VA core scientist interrupted, barely containing disbelief. You fly ships made of a substance that should pass through all matter. We don't fly through space, the admiral replied. We negotiate with it. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Our weapons do not explode, she continued. They rearrange probabilities. They remove targets from causality. They collapse strategic positions into irrelevance. And defense? Asked Counselor Threxel. Ionescu's gaze hardened. They cannot be targeted by conventional means. Dark matter does not interact with your sensors, your weapons, or your physics. She paused. Only with ours. The council realized then what humanity had not said. These ships were not built for conquest. They were built because humans knew that eventually, someone would come for Earth. A death world species does not assume safety. It prepares. Seleuan spoke again, voice heavy with understanding. You built these not to rule us, the archivist said, but to make sure no one could ever rule you. Yes, Admiral Ionescu replied, and to ensure no one else would ever be erased because the galaxy underestimated them. The projection shifted once more, this time showing a human colony world, vibrant and green, children playing under alien suns. We remember what it is to be vulnerable, she said, and we remember what it costs when others decide you are weak enough to exploit. Across council space, fleets that had once postured near human borders quietly withdrew. In hidden shipyards, construction halted as admirals questioned whether their weapons even mattered anymore. Treaties were rewritten. Sanctions dissolved overnight. Human diplomatic envoys found doors opening that had been closed for decades. Not because humanity demanded it, but because no one dared test the alternative. As the emergency session drew to a close, Admiral Ionescu delivered her final statement. These ships will not patrol your systems, she said. They will not enforce human law beyond our borders. She met the gaze of every delegate. But if another extinction fleet is ever assembled, if another species is ever deemed acceptable collateral, if the galaxy forgets that survival is not the same as dominance, her voice dropped to a whisper. We will remind you. The transmission ended. Long after the chamber emptied, Seleuan remained, studying the fading hologram of the dark warships. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the balance of power had not shifted through conquest. It had shifted through understanding. Humanity had not arrived to conquer the stars. They had arrived to make one thing unmistakably clear. The universe was dangerous. And the most dangerous thing in it was a species that had learned to survive itself. The galaxy had believed power came from ancient bloodlines, endless fleets, and eons of dominance. Humanity proved otherwise. Power came from fear remembered, lessons learned the hard way, and the will to say, never again.